So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here about BSN Network. And we'll get back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Wednesday, February 3rd. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yesterday, it is in fact Wednesday, February 3rd. We are now 3 days into the new month, and we are now only a couple days away from the Super Bowl. We are Wednesday right now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the Super Bowl, Chiefs, Buccaneers, going to be a lot of fun. Today starts my 3-day kind of just full-up coverage of the biggest game of the season. You could say one of the biggest games of sports. So it's going to be really, really fun. Yesterday, the Nets got a big win yesterday to bounce back from a tough loss against the Wizards. Obviously, a terrible way to go down, but it was a big win yesterday against one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. A lot of people think in the Los Angeles Clippers. We got the win. We are now 14-9 in the year. We have won 6 of our last 7. So we're rolling right now. We're rolling. You look at the record and you really think you could have been 15-8. But it is what it is. We're 14-9. We're still 5 games above 500. We have a day off today, day off tomorrow. Go back out on Friday, have a back-to-back. Then we have a day off on Sunday, day off on Monday, and we play again on Tuesday. So it's kind of odd. And then we have a back-to-back. So this is how the Nets schedule is in the upcoming weeks here. We have a day off today, day off tomorrow, then a game on Friday, then a game on Saturday. So there's a back-to-back, then a day off on Sunday, day off on Monday, and then play on Tuesday, then play on Wednesday, day off on Thursday, then play, and then you start the West Coast trip on Friday. A week from Friday, we start a West Coast trip where we start with the Warriors, and then it's a West Coast trip for the Nets. So that's how it's going to be. So it's definitely kind of odd, our schedule, because we have 2 days off in between these games, back-to-back, then another 2 days off, then a back-to-back, then a day off, and then another game. Usually it's a game, day off, a game, maybe back-to-back, then another day off, but it's kind of weird. We have 2 days off, a back-to-back, then 2 days off, then a back-to-back, then a day off, then a West Coast trip. So a lot happening with the Nets for this next week or two, and really the season's in full swing right now. We've obviously we're 23 games into the season, so we're almost, we're not halfway there. We're about 17 or so games from halfway there. So we're a little bit over a quarter of a way through. Obviously, we're in February, so, the season started in December. So we're about a month and a half, 2 months into the season. Kentucky also plays it against Missouri. Big game for the Kentucky. We need to start winning. If we continue to lose, it's our March Madness hopes to begin with are low, and if we continue to lose, they get even lower. Today would be a big win. We're playing against a good Missouri team. It'd be a big win. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'll talk about it later. These are the topics for today. Rangers have a day off today. Then they play it again tomorrow. They have another 2 days off as well. I'm not a big fan of these 2 days off things where you have a day off and another day off. Usually it's 1 day off in between, but the Rangers have had a lot of these times where they have 2 days off. Not really a big fan of it, but it does leave time for me to watch Kentucky tonight. So these are the topics for today's podcast. We got the Chiefs Buccaneers offensive overview and their rankings. I'll give you what I see out of their offense. I'll give you the strengths. I'll give you some of the weaknesses. Kind of just give you an overview, give you the rankings, give you some of the numbers, and that kind of stuff, and for the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. And then tomorrow, which is Thursday, I'll do Chiefs Buccaneers defensive rankings, give you the strengths, give you the weaknesses. And then on Friday, this should all lead up to my keys of the game and ultimately the Super Bowl game pick, the last game of the 2020-21 NFL season, which is super exciting to have that Super Bowl right around the corner. So we'll talk about that. But today starts it off. It was going to originally be on Monday and then all through the week, but sports. We love sports. So much news happened over the weekend. I wanted to come on here and talk about the other news, so we had to do that. And then a new installment of buy or sell NBA rumors. This time I will be doing NBA rumors. This time, buy or sell. It's a little game I like to play. I've started about a month and a half, 2 months ago probably, but it's a little thing I like to play. It's called buy or sell. If I buy the rumor, that means I think it's going to happen. So if I think player one's going to get traded to, this team, then I think it's going to happen. But if I sell the rumor, then that means I don't think it's going to happen. It's pretty much yes or no, but it's a fancier name. It's kind of a more game show name, buy or sell. So I'll buy it. If I buy it, that means I think it's going to happen. If I sell it, that means I don't think it's going to happen. Or that player won't be going to that team. He could be going to another team. So I have 4 rumors that have been around the NBA as the trade deadline nears. So I have 4 rumors coming up. 2 of them I bought, 2 of them I sold. I'll tell you why I buy or sell them. We'll get into that. And then to finish out the podcast, we got college basketball, NBA, NHL, Kentucky, and then your rest of your New York sports talk today. Nets coming off a big win. I think that the Knicks, obviously, Nets coming off a big win. Really good win for the Nets last night, like I said. So it should be good. I'm excited. So with all that being said, this is the BSN Network podcast, and let's get right into it. So the Super Bowl is only a couple days away. We are at Wednesday right now, February 3rd. The Super Bowl is only a couple days away. You could look at it both ways. You could look at it as super exciting, like I am. I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be a close game. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I want to see a close game. I want to see a close game. I don't want to see another blowout. I really don't. Now, this blowout Brady, that would be nice, but it's a Super Bowl. I would like to see a game that really comes down to the wire. But ultimately, I do want the Chiefs to win, and I'll tell you who I think is going to win on Friday. But I will tell you this is that I'm super excited for it. I know a lot of people could look at it as, they're kind of upset because the season's over. But personally, as a fan of the game, I love Super Bowl, and in my opinion, Super Bowl brings another thing too. It's not only the Super Bowl, but right after the Super Bowl, that's when every team's in the offseason. You could really start to look for the draft, look towards the draft, look at the offseason, look at the free agents, some trades, right? That's when things really start to get fun. So instead of just hearing all these rumors, things start to actually happen once deals and once the Super Bowl is over. So I look at it both ways. I do look at it as, okay, the season's over, and obviously, obviously I love to watch football, so we won't be able to, we won't be watching it again until, I don't know what the NFL is going to do this year, whether they're going to have preseason, but we won't see another regular season game until September. So it's kind of in that way. But at the same time, it is also, you got to look forward to, the offseason, the draft, the OTAs, training camp, because if you really put it into perspective, it is February. Free agency and all that starts, late February, early March. To be honest, you can make moves now. They just won't become official until like a March area. Then the draft comes in April. After that, it's late April. Then May, you're sitting here in May with the OTA starting up. And in June, that's when the training camp start up. So to be honest, the NFL offseason usually moves pretty quickly. But we have not seen a Super Bowl yet. And I wanted to do, obviously I said this week, I wanted to do a special week. Obviously, just talking about each team's offense, each team's defense. Not trying to say that special teams aren't important, but I'm not that, I don't know that much about special teams. Like, I know the formations these teams run and the different strategies they use. Special teams, to be honest, I'm not really that in zone with special teams, and I also figured I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about special teams for that long. So I just did offense and defense, the main parts of the game, and you got to say defense more kind of goes to special teams in a way. Because special teams is like a defense, special teams, right? Field goal, block field goal, a sack, a safety, that's kind of special teams in a way, like a punt return in a way, or a kickoff or something like that. That's kind of defense, special teams. So, defense, I guess you could tie into that. But today will be offense. So kind of just what I want to do here is I'm going to start with the Chiefs, I guess. I'll just start with the Chiefs, just because they are the higher ranked offense. So I'll just start with them. They're the ones that are first on this list here. I'll start with the Chiefs. Then I'll go to the Bucs. I'll kind of compare the two. I don't want to do too much comparing because I don't want to spoil my pick. But I will kind of compare the two, tell you what they have in common, what they don't, their weaknesses, their strengths. some of the key players, some of the players you got to look out for. This all kind of is going to have to translate into keys to the game. So I really wanted to do kind of a week leading up to this. And then same thing for defense. Tomorrow I'll do the defense, strengths, weaknesses, what they have in common, some of the key players and all that stuff. And then obviously I've said this a million times already on this podcast, but it will eventually lead up to the Friday podcast where I make my game pick. And then we head into Super Bowl weekend, which is super exciting. So here we go. Offensive rankings, offensive overview, whatever you want to call it, it's just an offensive thing. It's kind of just, I'll read you the numbers, give you the players, that kind of stuff. So here we go. Chiefs and Buccaneers offensive overview and ranking. So I'm going to start it off here with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs this season are on the offensive side of the ball. The Chiefs this season have obviously played 16 games. That is a no-brainer. Every team plays 16 every season. Yards this season, total yards, they've had 6,653 yards. They are the number one ranked offense in the NFL overall. Now, there might be a couple different categories that they're not as strong in. For example, rushing yards, they're not as strong as like a Titans or the Vikings or the Packers or a Cardinals or something like that. But for the most part, they are still pretty strong. They are the best team in the NFL overall as an offense, the Chiefs are. And really, to be honest, this is led by a guy named Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure many of you heard of him. But yeah, it's the truth. Patrick Mahomes has really kind of carried this offense. It's really is crazy. The playoff successes came with Patrick Mahomes. The success overall, as came with Patrick Mahomes. And I really feel like, in a way, Andy Reid and his coaching staff has been so much better with Mahomes, and I don't know what it is. And because Andy Reid, before Mahomes got here, was never finding playoff success. Andy Reid, before Mahomes got here, was one of the worst playoff coaches in the NFL. NFL history in a way. He would get to the playoffs, but he just could not get there. He just could not get to that next level. He would get to the playoffs, make a wild card game, or even sometimes get that first round bye and then just lose, right? And since Mahomes has gone here, it's almost like that slight piece that they were missing. They got it. They got the quarterback. They got Mahomes. They got a young player. They got a young, really, really, really good player in Mahomes, and obviously went along to be who I think is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and very well. And I don't want to make predictions now because it's just so early. I hate to say that players are, Hall of Fame or all-time great this early in their career. But if Mahomes keeps this up, he's going to be one of the best athletes, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, one of the best players of all time in football if he continues this. Now, if he keeps this up, yes. If he starts to go down a little bit and not win many Super Bowls and, kind of be an average quarterback, then no. But if he continues to do this, if he continues to play at a high level like he is, he's going to be perfectly fine with it. Now, what I will say is this, they've got a very good, strong passing game. Their passing game is very good. They've got a very good passing game. They're very good overall in the passing game. They've got a very, very, very good passing game. It's very strong. You got probably the best quarterback out there. One thing that concerns me with this Chiefs offense is their running game. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's had a fabulous year. He's a good season. I said it in the mock draft and stuff when he was coming out of college. I said you got to watch out for him, Jonathan Taylor, and guys like that, and DeAndre Swift. I said DeAndre Swift too. I said these guys should all be picked technically in the first round. Sure enough, they all were not first. Not all of them were first rounders, but I said all of these guys have shown first round talent. And look at what happened. Jonathan Taylor, third in the NFL in rushing yards. Obviously, DeAndre Swift had a great season with the Lions in a way, kind of carried that offense in a way. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a decent part when he's been healthy in helping this Chiefs team get to the Super Bowl. Now, would I say he's been the main part? No, it's been Mahomes. It's been Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, guys like that, because that's mainly what they do. But when the Chiefs run the ball, they are a good team. They are a good running team. It's just a matter of, are they going to run the ball? That's the real question. I think in the AFC Championship game, this was part of the reason, too, because Helaire, I think, came back, but he wasn't fully healthy. Even guys, they don't run the ball much. They really don't. They might only run the ball. There's been times I've seen where they run the ball 7-8 times, but it's not like they pass the ball 50 times. They pass the ball maybe only 30, just because of the fact that, they get some big play. They get big yardage plays. They're not doing these long, lengthy drives. That's why if you look at it, total plays in a game on the offense side of the ball, the Chiefs might actually be towards the bottom of the league. Number one, because A lot of the times, these guys are getting 3-4 play drives. I mean, you've seen it. Throw it deep to Tyreek Hill. Throw it deep to Travis Kelce. Or even just, a first down. I mean, you first down and 10, you throw a 20-yard pass to Kelce, right? A lot of times, that's what happens with the Chiefs, is they throw the ball deep. But I really feel like this running game is good, and I'm a big believer that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have a great career, not great, but good career with the Chiefs or whatever team he goes to. What I will say is this with the Chiefs is, there has been times where when they try to run the ball or things. Here's the one problem with the Chiefs is outside of Helaire, their running game isn't strong. It's not that strong. And I think this is kind of both teams. Both these teams are very common offenses. The Buccaneers, their strength is their passing game. Their weakness is their run game, I would so much say. Same thing with the Chiefs, although I think the Chiefs have a greater strength in the passing game than they do in the run game. But I will ultimately say here that, that the Chiefs are definitely a solid offense, or a overall solid offense. If they get the run game going, they will be even better. But guys like Kelce, guys like Hill, when you have a quarterback in Mahomes, when the guy can throw the ball 35, 40 times a game and have an average per play of 10, 15 yards, there's no need to run the ball. But what I will tell you this, going into the big game, I wouldn't be surprised, and they did this last year a lot, I wouldn't be surprised if you see them mix it up and run it a little bit more. Because the Buccaneers are going to prepare for a lot of passing. And they're going to prepare for a lot of passing. And that's what happens sometimes when you prepare for a lot of passing. Is then all of a sudden, the run game comes over, they take over, and look what happens. I mean, it happens with every team. Right? It happens with every team. That's why preparing for a Super Bowl is so hard, because sometimes teams like to switch it up a little bit. I wouldn't switch it up with the Chiefs. I would do what's working for you. But what I will tell you this is the Chiefs are very dangerous in the passing game, and that's mainly led by Patrick Mahomes. This is another team, too, with the Chiefs. They run a lot of different stuff. I mean, they run a lot of different stuff. We've seen that little pitch play to Kelce. This is a team that likes to run the deep routes to kind of get into the plays they like to run. They really bust zone coverage. They really do. They love to just bust zone coverage, and they dare you to run man, because Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest receivers ever to come out of college and one of the fastest receivers in the NFL, if not the fastest in the NFL. They love when teams run man coverage and they just throw the ball deep to Tyreek Hill, deep to Travis Kelce, deep to McCole Hardman, wherever they're going to throw the ball. Or even just a little underneath route to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he turns it up for 10, 15, 20 yards, right? So they like to do that, and that's really the big Chiefs. That's really their offense. They do run a lot of trick plays. We've seen it. We've seen the trick plays. We've seen that little pitch to Kelce where he motions right by the guard area, the right or left guard, and he comes running in, and Mahomes gives that little pitch, and it counts as a touchdown. We've seen that. We've also seen a couple plays where they'll motion someone behind Mahomes, do a little bit of an RPO, tosses it back to Mahomes, then Mahomes find Kelce or Hill deep. All I have to say is this, is Mahomes to Kelce and Hill is one of the most dangerous 1-2 punches in all the NFL, and one of the dangerous 1-2 punches I have seen in a very long time. And I think the threesome of them, you can't even so much say that Kelce and Hill or Mahomes and Hill are one of the best 1-2 punches, or Mahomes and Kelce. It's the three of them are one of the best combos in all the league. It's insane. It's not even Kelce or Hill, or Kelce or Mahomes, or Hill or Mahomes. It's all three of them. It's Mahomes, Hill, and Mahomes, Kelce. They're so good. And that's what makes this offense so good, is when you have a really good tight end and when you have a really good receiver. That's all you need. When you look at it, teams that have good tight ends are good. Teams that don't have good tight ends aren't good. It's just how it goes. I can name so many for you. I'm not, because I'm focused on the Chiefs and the Bucs right now, but I can name so many different teams, and the Chiefs have that. So to look at some of the rankings here, they obviously rank first overall. 16 games played. This is all led by one of the better offensive coordinators in the league, and Eric Bieniemy. 6,653 total yards this season. Yards per game, they're putting up about 415.8. That is first in the NFL by a long shot. The closest was the Buffalo Bills and the Titans, tied at 396. So they're still averaging even there about 18 to 19 more yards, or yet about 19 more yards than those teams, which isn't much, but still it's a decent gap. Passing wise, 4,850 yards, 4,854 yards passing this season. Yards per game in the passing category is 303.4. The closest team again is the Buffalo Bills that were at 288. So even then, still a little bit of a difference. About 15 yards is the difference. So Buffalo Bills are close to them. And then rushing yards per game, the Chiefs have 1,799 yards per game on rushing side. It's 112.4. Definitely some teams have them top tier. The Vikings do. The Titans do. The Cardinals do. The Packers do. The Colts do. There's a lot of teams that top them. Raiders do. The Bucs don't, surprisingly. Actually, not really surprising. The Bucs don't. Does other any team? Yards per game, there's a lot of teams that top them. The Browns do. The Ravens do. This is rushing. Sorry. I don't know if I made that clear. Rushing yards per game. A lot of these teams top them. Like I said, rushing is a little bit of their weakness. But when you have a quarterback in Mahomes that can throw the ball 35, 40 times a game, you don't need to worry about your rushing game. So that's the rushing stats. Points, they've had 473 points this season, which is touchdowns, field goals, what points are, safeties, whatever. And they put up about 29.6 points per game, which is just around the 30 mark. So as a matter of fact, which is kind of surprising, a lot of teams have more points than them. The Bills do. The Titans do. The Packers do. The Packers actually have the most points in the season. This is, by the way, regular season stats. I'm not going to get into too much of the postseason stuff because the postseason's kind of hard with the other teams because it only ranks them on postseason teams. It doesn't rank them on the NFL. I like to do the whole NFL just to show you how good this offense is. But other than that, that's kind of it. And 29.6 points per game. The Bills are technically the Packers are the first in the NFL with 31.8. The Bills are 31.3, but it's so close. So that's that. So that's the Chiefs. So they're the number one overall offense in the entire NFL. And right behind them is the Bills and then the Titans. So they are number one. And, Chiefs, we've seen it, and we've all seen it, how good this offense is. Just to put the stats on it is just a whole nother thing. So the Chiefs, that is the Chiefs' offensive overview and rankings. Now we move on to the opposing team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they have about the 7th best. So they're top 10. They are about the 7th best offense in the NFL here. There's 6 teams ahead of them. They're in the 7th spot. So they have about the 7th best offense. So they're top 10. Some of the teams in front of them are obviously the Chiefs, Bills, Titans, Vikings, Packers, and Cardinals. And then the Buccaneers are 7th overall. Although the Buccaneers in some of the different categories are obviously a little different. And then to look at that, they're ahead of the rest of the NFL. Obviously, they're 7th, so the rest of the NFL. But I don't want to get into that. So they're ahead of those teams. Be the Buccaneers, top 10 offense in the league. This is what's going to make this matchup so fun, is you have 2 top 10 offenses, technically 2 top 7. 2 top 7 offense because the Buccaneers are 7th and obviously the Chiefs being number 1. You have 2 top 7 offenses. Top 10, top 7. You could say top 15. You could say whatever. 2 top 10 offenses, top 7, whatever you want to say. They're both good offenses. The Buccaneers this season, as much as I hate to say it, and I've been very critical of the Buccaneers. I will admit to it, and I will admit I was wrong about the Buccaneers. I said at the beginning of this team would not work. I said at best they go about 9-7 and maybe slip into the playoffs. I just didn't think this team would work. And especially after the Week 1 loss to the New Orleans Saints, I said, I am full on certain that this team is not going to work out. Sure enough, this team worked out. They're in the Super Bowl. I'm clearly wrong. Now, what I will say is this is a Buccaneers team that you got to catch. They're a little bit inconsistent. And I gave you the weaknesses of the Chiefs. I'm going to be fair here. I said the Chiefs' weakness is the rushing game. And at times we've seen a couple, we've seen their rushing game. And at times, sometimes we've seen, just some mistakes, some mental errors. We've seen Mahomes have a couple tough games here and there. I've named their weaknesses. So I'm going to be fair and I'm going to name the Buccaneers' weaknesses. It might seem like I'm going harder on the Buccaneers than I'm not, but I'm trying my best here. I'm trying to be fair with both teams. What I will say is this, is the Buccaneers this season, to kind of say some of their strengths, because they have a lot of them. Their passing game has been a strength. Brady, you look at the numbers, he had a good year. I personally thought if the eye test showed me that he didn't, mid-year when I was saying that he wasn't doing that good, he really wasn't, but he's really turned it on, and in the playoffs, he's really done well. And obviously, this is a team that had to play 3 games all on the road. They had to play against the Washington on the road. They had to play, who's the other team? Why am I drawing a blank here? Oh, Saints. They had to play Washington, Saints, and then obviously 2 weeks ago they had to play the Packers on the road. So they've had to gone through 3 road games, which to me is pretty big in the playoffs, because if you go through 3 road games, don't have 1 home game, and you're the wild card team, I think that's pretty big. They're obviously home for the Super Bowl, so they won't be on the road for all 4 of the games, but they're obviously literally home for the Super Bowl. They're not just home on paper, they're also in their home stadium. Don't have to go over that, we all know that. But yeah, the Buccaneers, some of their strengths are their passing game. It's almost the same thing like I said with the Chiefs. These offenses are almost kind of similar. They're both good in the passing game. I will probably give if you look at the numbers, it's not the case. The Chiefs' rushing game is slightly better. But the Buccaneers, when that Brady-Evans connection is on, it can be dangerous. And we saw that in the Packers game, the first drive of the game. Buccaneers drive down the field like there was literally no one in front of them, threw the ball up to Evans, and really good. That Evans connection, Brady-Evans connection, I thought was going to be a little tough, but especially after the first game of the season where Evans didn't really do that well, I thought it was going to be a little bit tough, but obviously it's turned it on. They've been really well. To be honest, they've got a couple really good receivers. They've got Chris Godwin, a really solid receiver, came on last year, had a really good year, and I don't know, statistically, he probably had a better year last year, just because this season he had a couple injuries. He obviously had the thumb injury and things like that. He's had a couple things that sidelined him for a little bit. But Godwin's very good. Evans is very good. And Antonio Brown, as much as I hate to say, he's made a decent impact for the team. Is he up there at the top? Is he up there best on the team? No. But he's one of those guys, going to be a slot guy, going to run in. We're going to run the in routes, going to get you. He's quick, kind of very quick, good movement, left, right, whatever you want to say, right? That kind of stuff. That's what Antonio Brown will do. But what I will say is with the Bucs is their run game on paper, the Chiefs is better, but the eye test at times shows this Buccaneers run game being slightly better than the Chiefs. But the statistics don't lie, so I would have to give the upper hand to maybe the Chiefs. Passing-wise, the upper hand to the Chiefs. Running-wise, Buccaneers probably maybe the upper hand just because of the eye test. But they got good running backs. They've got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, 2 really solid running backs. And when both of them are healthy, this is the key thing, is when both of them are healthy, they can be really dangerous, because we've seen at times this season where they have not been crazy healthy. I think Ronald Jones missed a couple games. I had him on my fantasy team. Leonard Fournette, too, he missed a couple games. As a matter of fact, I think he missed the start of the season, I'm pretty sure, or a couple of the games there, which really gave Ronald Jones a chance. And that's one of the big things. Running backs are key, in my opinion, to have about 2 really good ones. And they've had that. They've got Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, who aren't the most household names in the world, but they're going to get the job done. They're going to get you yards. They're going to get you what you need. They're good receiving backs. They're quick. Their lateral movement's pretty good. They're going to do that. But that's what I really feel like. A lot of these teams, if you really want to become one of those top teams in the league, you really want to have good running backs. Because I really believe when it comes down to those 4th downs, those tough situations late in games, it's going to come down usually to the running back. Now, some teams, for example, the Kansas City Chiefs, they throw the ball on a 4th down. They'll throw the ball on a 4th down and 1. They'll throw the ball under 2 minutes. We've seen that happen. The Buccaneers aren't one of those teams. They're one of those teams that when it comes down late in the game, a lot of times it's going to come down to the running back, and it's going to come down to Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, which is really good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And like I said, both these teams' offenses are very, very good. And that's another thing, too. Both offensive lines are good. Buccaneers offensive line, really young. Obviously, you got Wirfs in the draft. He's done a very solid job. Obviously, with Brady on your team, you need to make sure you have a good offensive line. If you don't have a good offensive line and Brady's on your team, Brady's your quarterback, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because he hates to get sacked. He hates it, absolutely despises it. When he gets sacked, he gets off his game. He starts to get angry, and he starts to kind of lose focus and lose his, in a way, kind of just lose it a little bit, right? That's the same thing there. That's with Brady. But I'll tell you what, when this Brady Evans and Brady Godwin and really Brady and the receiving core is on, this offense is very dangerous. And we've seen that against the Packers. And the Packers have a decent defense, too. We saw it against the Packers We've obviously seen it a little bit this year. We've seen a little bit of everything this year from the Buccaneers, and we've even seen some trick plays with the Buccaneers. But one of the things I really like about this Buccaneers offense is the way they throw the ball deep, right? They take chances downfield. I'll tell you what, the secondaries are going to be tested in both these games, or both these teams. Because Evans, Brady loves to throw it one-on-one. Same thing with Mahomes. He likes to throw it one-on-one with Kelsey. He likes to thread the needle to Kelsey. He likes to throw it deep to Hill when he might have 1 or 2 yards on the cornerback. And Brady's not exactly like that. He'll throw literally a jump on Mike Evans, and a lot of times Mike Evans is going to come down to it. They got a tall, strong receivers. If you not know me much, if you watch all the podcasts, you understand I am a huge fan of tall, strong, jump ball one-on-one receivers. I really like those type of receivers, which is why I really want the Jets to get Allen Robinson. I really believe he's one of the better one-on-one jump ball receivers in the NFL. I really like tall, strong receivers. Guys are going to be able to win one-on-one coverages. Guys are going to be able to make deep plays downfield one-on-one. I really like those type of receivers. That's why I think DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best in the game. And that's why I really think Calvin Johnson is one of the best jump one-on-one receivers in the history of the NFL. I mean, it's really good. Jerry Rice, definitely the best overall receiver in the NFL. When you put it into different categories, some of the jump ball receivers, Hopkins is one of the best out there. Same thing here with Mike Evans. He's one of the best one-on-one receivers in the NFL. And another thing with him, before I go into the stats here, another thing with Mike Evans is he's very good in the corner of the end zone. Something about him in the end zone, something about him getting those feet down. And when that Brady-Evans connection is on, it's very good. Now, we've seen times where it's off. But Brady also sometimes has missed a couple throws, and Evans also has missed a couple catches. We saw it against the Packers. I mean, you're not going to be perfect. But when that connection's on, it's big. And they like to run, too. They like to run a lot of deep stuff. Brady does like to throw it underneath to some of his, tinier receivers, some of his more quicker receivers, like an Antonio Brown or some of the slot receivers. We've seen it. We've seen where he likes to throw it underneath, and they also like to take shots deep, and that both these teams are like that. They like to throw the ball underneath. They like to get yards. They like to do that, but they also love to use their deep ball threats and throw the ball deep. So some of the Buccaneers stuff here. Obviously, they played 16 games. Don't have to go through that. 6,145 yards, which is the Chiefs. Chiefs actually have the advantage on that. I think they're actually exactly in 7th with that total in the NFL. Yeah, they are. Well, technically not, because the Bills and Titans are tied for 2nd. The Bills and Titans literally have the same amount of yards. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 384.1 yards per game. That is right there as well. That is in 7th, I'm pretty sure, as well. So the Buccaneers, in their position, they have a lot of that stuff. So 4,626 passing yards overall. That is in front of the Arizona Cardinals, in front of the Green Bay Packers, in front of the Vikings, in front of the Titans, and in front of the Bills, but not in front of the Chiefs. Passing yards per game, they have 289.1 per game. That is 289.1 per game. That is in front of the Cardinals, in front of the Green Bay, in front of Vikings, in front of the Titans, in front of the Bills, not in front of the Chiefs. So the passing is very good. Rushing is where it gets a little interesting, because rushing, they've got 1,519, which is in front of no one. I mean, it's in front of some of the other teams, but not in front of anyone in front of them, I mean. So the teams in front of them are the Cardinals, Packers, Vikings, Titans, and Bills. They've had better yards per game on passing wise for them. Rushing yards per game, they are right in that 7th position. Or they're going to be moved. They're a little lower on the rushing game. Like I said, on paper, on paper, their rushing game's meh, but on the eye test, it is pretty solid. But the Chiefs, do have the better rushing game. And then rushing yards per game is 94.9, which does definitely hurt them, because that's pretty low in the NFL. I mean, there's not I mean, there's really, to be honest, not too many teams out there. That's pretty low. Rushing yards per game is pretty low for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in points, they have 492 points this season, which is in front of the Cardinals, in front of the Vikings, 1 point in front of the Titans, behind the Bills, and actually in front of the Chiefs. And in points per game, they have 30.8, which is more than the Chiefs, more than the Titans by 0.1. Behind the Bills, more than the Vikings, behind the Packers, more than the Cardinals, and then right there in 7. So they'll be probably like top 5 in points. But like I said, overall, they're 7. So you're looking at a fun matchup. You're looking at the first best offense. You're looking at the best offense in the league in the Chiefs, and you're looking at the 7th best offense in the league, looking at the Bucs. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. But I'll preview the defenses tomorrow, like I said, and I think it's going to be good because I think the defense are pretty good too. I really think both these teams have one of the more underrated defenses, and both these teams do. I really believe both these teams, because their offenses are so good, their defense doesn't get that much attention. But when you really look at the numbers, both these teams' defenses are really good as well. So this is going to be really exciting. But that is your first day of the Super Bowl kind of preview. Tomorrow I'll do defense. Friday I'll do my game picks. And then Sunday will be the big game. So, so coming up next, I'm going to play buy or sell. I will tell you the buy, if I buy rumors, or if I sell the rumors. This time it is NBA edition. Coming up next. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's get this up here. This will be another round of buy or sell. Should be pretty good. As you all know, I really like to do this, buy or sell. It's a lot of fun. I find it's a pretty fun thing to do, just because it just is. So I do buy or sell. It's a little game I like to play. I'm sure you've known this by now. I'm sure I've done MLB. I've done NFL. I think I've done MLB like twice or 3 times. I've done NBA I think once, and I've done NFL like once. So I've done this about 5-6 times. So I've done this a good amount. It's a lot of fun. It's buy or sell, also known as yes or no. I will give you a rumor. There's been a lot of rumors floating around with the trade deadline nearing in the NBA. I will give you a rumor, and I'll give you a rumor. I found about 4 of them. Probably found about 4 of the hottest rumors right now in the NBA. I'll give you that. I'll tell you if I buy it or if I sell it. If I buy it, I will tell you why I think it's going to happen. If I sell it, I will tell you why I don't think it's going to happen. These are all trades. This is kind of a trade edition. These are all kind of trades. This is all, whether this guy will get traded, this guy will get traded. Sometimes I say if this free agent will sign here, or if this guy will get released, or I've done if this guy's going to stay with the team. So this time it's kind of all just trades edition. So here we go. Buy or sell NBA. First up, we got Lonzo Ball gets traded. I buy this rumor. Okay, I'll tell you why here. There's been a lot of names going around that are possibilities of getting traded. There's been a lot of them. There has been J.J. Redick's name. There's been Lonzo Ball's name. There's been Bradley Beal's name. There's been a ton of names. I mean, there's been almost names left and right on players who could possibly get traded to another team, to a contender, to another team. Now, I will tell you this. The Lakers have been the Pelicans have been one of the most disappointing basketball teams this entire season. And to be honest, one of the more disappointing basketball seasons we've seen in basketball teams we've seen in a very long time. This was a team this season that was really supposed to make a big impact, really supposed to play really well, and was possibly going to make a playoff push. And they are sitting right now in a very tough position at a record of 7-12, and it's almost like their team's just falling apart in a way. So, Lonzo Ball, there's been rumors now with the team not really being in contention for anything. Now, that could very well change. They're only 19 games in the season, but the way it's looking like they're not going to do much. There's a lot of rumors now with them being in contention, not being in contention. Some of these other teams that are maybe on the outside looking in or trying to bolster their rosters might want to come in and swoop them up. For example, a team like the Thunder, who are on the outside right now looking in, might want to come in and pick them up. A team like the Raptors, who are on the outside looking in, might want to come in and pick them up. A team like the Warriors, who are in, out, right? One day they're in, one day they're out, might want to come in and pick them up. A team like the Grizzlies, who are out then in, and has suffered some injuries this season, might want to come in and pick them up. So I buy this rumor. I think I don't think he's lived up to expectations on what was set for him when he came into the league. But I will tell you this, is if he does go to a team and it's a contender, I do think it will be a solid move. Now, it is kind of depending on what you give up. If you give up a lot, if to just get him, that might be it. But if you give up a little bit, I don't think it would be a terrible deal. And I think he could be a guy that's going to get you 10, 12 points a night, come off the bench, get you assists, and kind of just be that other guy there, right? Some teams need that slightest little bit to just bolster them. I've always said it so much on the podcast where, sometimes teams are one or two small pieces away from from getting to that next level. Some teams are one or two big pieces away, whether that's in NBA. Some teams are a point guard and a rebounder away. Some teams are, just like in this situation like Lonzo Ball. Some teams are just, we just need one solid bench man. That's kind of a small piece, right? Some teams need a lot. Some teams need, for example, in football, some teams might need one or two, might need a new receiver and a new cornerback. That's two pretty big pieces. Some teams might just need a new offensive lineman or a new, or something like that. Some of these teams out there, like the Grizzlies and things like that, are one or two small pieces away from getting to that next level and possibly making a true push. So I do think Lonzo Ball will get traded, and I think the Pelicans are going to be sellers at the deadline. Lonzo Ball gets traded, I buy this rumor. By the way, his numbers this season, 12.6 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, and 4.8 assists. They're not great. I never said that. I'm just saying he would be a decent bench guy to come off the bench. Next up, we got J.J. Redick get traded. He is another member of the New Orleans Pelicans. I buy this rumor. He's been one of the more actually popular names. A report came out the other day that the Nets, Sixers, and Celtics have been all looking at him to try to get him over to their teams. I would first off tell you this, as a Nets fan, I don't really know about this because we just added Shumpert and things like that, and it's not like we really necessarily need J.J. Redick. He would be another bench guy, but I do think he's going to get traded, right? I think they're going to get rid of Lonzo Ball, and I think J.J. Redick as well. And the reason I think here is J.J. Redick's getting older. He's got a big contract. I think this would be a team that would get rid of Lonzo and get rid of J.J. Redick, get rid of those money, get rid of that big contract on J.J. Redick, and keep Brandon Ingram and keep Zion Williamson and possibly save that money down the road for giving Zion the money eventually when he gets it, because he's probably going to get it. But J.J. Redick's also getting towards the older part of his career. He's very, very, very old now. So, it's not great. He's not great. I'm not saying that he's going to be a great. This would be a great move for any team, but I do think they're going to get rid of him. He's 36 years old. He's definitely getting up there in age. He hasn't really been that great. He's only putting up about 8 points a game this season. He hasn't really been that good, and this is, again, I think a Pelicans team that's going to sell. They're going to sell at the deadline. They're going to give up players. They're going to give up contracts. They're going to try to save as much money as they can, and they might try to get some draft picks in return for some of these players. So I definitely could see very well a Lonzo Ball and a J.J. Redick maybe in a package going to somewhere, like I said, a contender like the Grizzlies, the Thunder, or the Warriors, or someone like that, or even the team that the Raptors that are a little bit farther behind, but definitely could be, or even a team like the Pacers that are in a good position right now, but might even want to get even more assets and more pieces to get even better, or like a team like the Celtics that wants to try to compete for the number one seed, they might want even more. I could very well see these two actually being in a package. Personally, I would take Lonzo Ball over J.J. Redick, but if you get both of them, it's not terrible. And like I said, I don't think the Pelicans are going to be overly heavily asking for much in return, knowing these two players are not that great. I don't think they're going to ask for multiple first-round picks and multiple different players. They might just ask for maybe a pick and maybe a player, or a pick and a prospect, or a swap, or an unprotected, or something like that. Something like that in return. I could very well see this happening. Lonzo Ball and J.J. Redick. And once again, with J.J. Redick, this is a Pelicans team that's going to build for the future now, I think, right? It hasn't really worked out. He's 36 years old. He's getting to the older part of his career. I think you could very well see it getting him traded for a young asset and bring someone in for a team that right now wants to focus on a championship. Currently, the Pelicans' focus right now is obviously their goal is to win a championship and turn it around, but obviously they could also be looking forward to, kind of like, okay, our future now. We got to make sure we keep this intact, right? So I buy J.J. Redick gets traded. I buy this rumor. Now, some of his stats here. He's got 7.9 points per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, and 1.3 assists per game. So it's not great, but like I said, he is getting to the older part of his career. So we'll see how that all goes there. Because like I said, with him getting older, we'll see how that all goes. Next up, Bradley Beal gets traded. This has been a hot topic with the Wizards between Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook and that team and how it's not worked. But it's the truth. It hasn't really worked. Bradley Beal gets traded. I sell this rumor. I'm going to sell this. I'm not going to buy this. And the reason I say this is because, just a couple days ago, now they did beat the Nets, so this might have been some of the excitement. This might have been some of just the fact that they just beat one of the best teams in the league and a contender in the Nets. Obviously, my favorite team, and I understand that they were all hyped up and stuff, and he might have said something that, he might have just, in the current moment, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm staying here. But he did say, I am kind of annoyed of hearing all this stuff about, I'm kind of annoyed about hearing all this different stuff about, me getting traded and stuff and all that stuff. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm going to stay with this team. I want to stay with this team. And that's one of the big things. I really thought that was one of the big things to take away from this is the fact that he said that. Now, once again, in the heat of the moment, when you're so pumped that you just won and, you just beat that team and you're so happy and that way you did it and he hit one of the best shots in the game and stuff like that, I get it. But when someone comes out and says that, it kind of goes to show you that they do want to stay there. And Bradley Beal has been with the team from the start. He is still only 27 years old. And I think for this Wizards team, they might look towards next year as maybe like, okay, maybe next season. This season it hasn't worked out. It's been an odd year. It hasn't worked out. Maybe it does next season. And maybe Bradley Beal goes ahead and say, hey, Westbrook, why don't you leave and I want to bring someone else in. But I really do believe that Bradley Beal is going to stay. Now, for a while there, I thought he was going to be gone. But after what he said, and after kind of looking over it, didn't make sense. Mid-year just to leave like that, might as well finish out the year. He's been playing at a high level. I sell this rumor because I don't think it's going to happen. Some of the numbers this season, he's averaging 35 points per game, which is actually first in the NBA, 4.9 rebounds per game, and 4.7 assists per game. So he's been very solid this year. He's been one of the best players out there. He's definitely atop the league and possibly the MVP. I mean, he's definitely in the conversation for the MVP voting. But I really think, if they could somehow get this team turned around, I think this could be big. So I do think I sell this rumor. And the final one here is Kelly Oubre gets traded. I sell this rumor. Kelly Oubre, to be honest, hasn't played that good. But I sell this. This is a guy they just signed in the offseason. And, if this would be a move, if this is going to be a team that's going to get Alonzo Ball or something and try to make a push, why would you get rid of Kelly Oubre all of a sudden? It might happen in the deal, but I sell this. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think the Warriors are definitely significantly trying to make that playoff push, so I don't think they get rid of him. I sell this rumor. He's averaging 12 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists per game. I think he's that good? No, he's not that good. But, we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens there. So yeah, so like I said, this is all just based on off of what I think here, but yeah. So this is the buy or sell again. I'll just go through. Alonzo Ball gets traded. I buy that rumor. J.J. Redick gets traded. I buy that rumor as well. Bradley Beal gets traded. I sell that rumor. And Kelly Oubre gets traded. I sell that rumor. So those are your that's another edition of buy or sell. It's a lot of fun. So now I move on to college basketball and NBA and all that good stuff. We get that up here. So college basketball yesterday, Illinois won, Wisconsin won, Kansas won, Iowa won, Ole Miss won, West Virginia won, Baylor won, and Maryland won. Today we got Houston, East Carolina, give Houston the win. Florida, South Carolina, give Florida the win. Alabama, LSU, give Alabama the win. Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, give Virginia Tech the win. Creighton, Georgetown, give Creighton the win. Villanova, St. John's, give Villanova the win. And we'll go with Virginia, North Carolina State, give Virginia the win. So the Kentucky also plays today. Kentucky comes in this game 5-10. Missouri comes in this game 11-3. Missouri is 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 137 for this game. This game is on today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN2. Kentucky fought hard against Alabama. They were in that game the entire game, but we had a chance late, just weren't able to convert. Kentucky, we're a young team. We're struggling. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that are struggling this season. They're all young. There's a lot of these teams struggling. A lot of these teams that are usually at the top of the list are definitely struggling. Kentucky, if we want any chance at making the tournament, we're going to have to start winning some of these games. We obviously got the big win against LSU. We've looked good, and then just things fell apart again. And that's one of the big things. When we start this team shows flashes, and we saw that 3-game win streak we were going through. We definitely showed flashes of, okay, this team could do something. And then all of a sudden, it just all goes right back down again. Everything you built up just goes right back down again. We got to the point where we were 4-6, and we got to the point where we were okay, all right, we have winnable games ahead of us. There's a chance here that we win a couple more games here. There's a chance we get above the 500 mark, and all of a sudden, everything went downhill from there. We started off SEC play 3-0, and ever since that, we've been 1-4. And since the 4-6 mark, we've been 1-4 as well. So we got to find a way to get better. But I don't see us winning this game. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do win. But Missouri's a good team. So go Kentucky. Hopefully we do win though. As for the NBA, yesterday Celtics won, Jazz won, Pacers won, Trailblazers won, and Raptors won. The Nets also won yesterday, 124-120. It was a really good game, obviously. Was a really, really good game there. Nets moved to 14-9 on the season. Harden had 23 points. Durant had 28 points. Kyrie led the way with 39 points. So another big game for us. A very, very, very good win. And just continue to play well. And today we got a lot of other games. Today we got the 76ers, Hornets give 76ers the win. Bucks, Pacers give Bucks the win. Mavericks, Hawks give Mavericks the win. Clippers, Cavs give Clippers the win. Bulls, Knicks give Bulls the win. Rockets, Thunder give Rockets the win. Heat, Wizards give Heat the win. Timberwolves, Spurs give Spurs the win. Suns, Pelicans give Suns the win. And Celtics, Kings give Celtics the win. That's that. And as for NHL, yesterday the Oilers won. Ducks won. Avalanche won. Hurricanes won. Blues won. Jets won, Canadians won, Stars won. That was that. Today we got the Red Wings, Lightning give Lightning the win. Bruins, Flyers give Bruins the win. And that is your NHL games there. So now I move on to fantasy football. Or fantasy basketball, I should say. Today we got Trae Young, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Miles Turner, and Victor Oladipo and Kemba Walker. I'm winning right now, 625 to 251. Fred VanVleet had 105 points for me yesterday. He had a big game. And I've got Trae Young, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Miles Turner, Victor Oladipo, and Kemba Walker. This is the injury report. Miles Turner's day-to-day. Turner is questionable for Wednesday's game against the Bucks due to his sore right shoulder, so just keep an eye on that. Valanciunas is still out. Valanciunas' COVID-19 protocols will not play in Tuesday's game against the Pacers. And then Kemba Walker's also day-to-day. Walker will be rested for Wednesday's game against the Kings, so he will not be playing there. And as for fantasy hockey here, I'm currently winning 61-19, so got a big lead there. Today I've got Steven Stamkos and Braden Point playing, and that's it there. And the injury report is Jack Eichel. He is out. Per Mark Shea, the hockey writers, Eichel and the Sabres game has been postponed through at least Sabres games have been postponed through at least February 8th, which means his next opportunity to play won't arrive until February 11th against the Capitals at the earliest. So he will be out for a little bit. The Sabres are going to be out there. But I've got Steven Stamkos and Braden Point playing as well. So, and obviously the Rangers don't play either. So Braden Point and Steven Stamkos are playing in the game. So that's what I got for the podcast again. Another really good podcast today. Like I said, Kentucky plays tonight. Should be a good game. I will definitely be watching that game. Should be good. I'm excited. As you all know, tomorrow will be defense for the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, so that should be good. And any other sports news as well. So with all that being said, that will do it for the BSN Network podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.